Hi, I'm Nate Johnson, owner and head trainer at Steel Strength Training, where we believe in prehab, rehab, and doing what you thought was impossible. Today, I'm actually going to be talking about how to set up a strength training program. I've laid out a lot of the elements in other videos just as far as why you should be strength training, what strength training does for your body. I've also talked about nutrition to aid and support and to further the results that you get from the strength training workouts. I've talked about the exercises you need to be doing, I've shown you how to do them, and now it's time to give you my basic rules, basic principles to follow when you're setting up a strength training program. So I'm going to go ahead and list those off for you, and then I'll touch on each of them briefly. So we have use the big lifts, practice good form, train to get stronger, start too light, don't vary the exercises often, vary the reps, weight, rest time instead, stick with the program, and then finally do some form of conditioning work. So the first rule, use the big lifts. This is super important. The reason I've chosen these big lifts, the reason they're done with the barbell, is because they can be progressed pretty much infinitely. You can add very, very small weights to them, such as micro plates, which I have. You put one on each side and that adds 1.125 pounds. And so you can pretty much progress these indefinitely. You can take your squat from 100 to 200 to 300 to 400, and that can take you years and years and years. So it's going to allow for long-term progression as opposed to something like using dumbbells, things like that. They're great for assistance lifts to strengthen the muscles. However, they're going to basically prevent you from progressing longer than you could with the barbell. So use the main lifts. It's also easy to monitor progress. You know, if your squat goes up 5 pounds on the barbell, it's pretty clear. You have a variety of weights you can use, so use the big lifts. They're very important. The next reason is just because they're going to hit your entire body. They're not isolation exercises. Isolation exercises are fine for assistance lifts. If you really need to target your quads, hamstrings, arms, things like that, go for it. You can isolate those muscle groups after you hit the big lifts. But the big lifts are going to provide the biggest shock to the system. They're also going to work the most amount of muscle mass, and so it's going to provide you with the best results. Now, rule number 2 is kind of going to piggyback off number 1. Use good form, okay? I see so many people, they're using crappy form in the gym. This is just going to lead to you getting hurt. You're not going to get the best gains. You're not going to get optimal gains from using crappy form. And I'm mostly worried about you getting injured. And so it's very important that you practice that good form. And so learn to squat, learn to bench press, learn to deadlift, learn to shoulder press, learn to do all those things perfectly so that way you can get started on these programs and you don't have to think about your form because you know you're doing them properly, and then you can hit it. Just put it all out on the line when you're lifting, and your form's not going to, it's not going to be bad, you're not going to have poor form, and therefore you're going to make the best progress, and you're also going to stay safe and not get injured, because nothing will prevent progress like getting an injury. Train to get stronger. This is super important. This should be the basis of your entire program. Every time you go in the gym, you are training to get stronger, okay? I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're doing some new fancy exercise techniques. If you're not getting stronger, you're not going to make progress. So there's a lot of ways to measure strength. You can increase the weight on the bar. You can increase the number of reps you're doing. You can decrease the rest time between your sets. And if you're still hitting the same number of weight and reps as you did last time with less rest, you're getting stronger. So there's a lot of ways to progress, but make sure you're progressing. This is vital for you to change both your body and your performance. Alright, point number 4, start too light. Now this seems a little counterintuitive, but it'll make sense in a second. I just want to go ahead and throw this out there. The sooner you learn this, the less likely you are to get injured and the better progress you make. It took me a long time to figure this out, but the reason it works is that if you start a little too light at the beginning of a training cycle, your form is perfect. It gives you an opportunity to go back and revisit your form. It gives you an opportunity to really feel the muscles working. Make sure you're doing everything properly. It also allows you to ramp up as you go. And so you kind of build some momentum and yes, you're starting too light, but as you're building up momentum, you can blow past your previous PRs. Whereas if you're constantly, each and every week, each and every workout, you're training at 100% each and every time, you're not going to make progress very long. And I guarantee you that you'll get hurt if you keep that training style up, because your body just can't handle you beating it each and every day, each and every workout, each and every week like that. So start too light, ramp up, peak, all right? And once you hit that peak, take a week off or so, decrease the weight a little bit lighter than you were before, a little bit lighter than that current PR, and then work your way back up and try to beat that one. Start a little too light, work your way back up, beat that one. And so it's this constant wave-like motion, but over time, as the previous point stated, you should be training to get stronger. Alright, point number 5, don't vary the exercises too often. Okay, I've talked about this in previous videos, but if you're constantly changing your exercises, you're constantly having to relearn a new movement. Even though it's similar, maybe similar to the big lift you've been using, your body still has to rewire itself and get used to learning that new movement. So what you need to do is stick with the main movements and don't vary them often. Now, I'll vary assistance lifts, things like that, just to spice things up, keep people interested. And occasionally, after you've been training for years and years and years, it may be beneficial to switch out some of the big lifts. But for the majority of us, there's no need to remove the squat, bench press, deadlift, shoulder press from your program. Stick with those. Vary the assistance lifts maybe every few months if you need to. But what you should be doing, this is point number 6, is varying the set number, varying the number of reps you're doing, vary the weight, vary the rest times. There's a lot of other factors you can change. Your body does need a new stimulus to make progress. What it doesn't need is for it to constantly be learning a new movement. It's basically like trying to relearn how to ride your bike over and over and over again, and you can't ride fast on this bike if you're trying to figure out how to ride it the whole time. So, based off that analogy, figure out how to ride the bike, figure out how to do the main lifts, stick with it, focus on progressing it, but then vary things up. Switch things up, give your body a new stimulus. Once your last program has stopped working, just change things up a little bit, change the number of reps, change the sets, change the weight. You'll make progress again, I promise. Okay, so that brings me to my next point, which is stick with the program. So many people, myself included, I've been guilty of this in the past, they're always trying to change the program. They're trying to change the workout because they read, oh, this workout's going to give me bigger arms, and then they read the next magazine and, oh, this workout's going to give me a bigger chest. So they're constantly varying back and forth between workout programs, and that doesn't work. Pick a program, a nice, basic, simple program that's going to allow you to progress in strength that follows these principles, and stick with it. At least 12 weeks, if not more. Most programs should allow you to progress for a long time. Also, most programs, once you kind of hit that peak, you just reset a little bit lighter than that PR, and then work your way back up. So there's really no need to constantly vary things. If you need to change things up just to keep you interested, I have two points to make about that. One, change your assistance lifts. That's probably the best thing to do. But the second thing is, you really need to just kind of suck it up and deal with it, because if you want progress in the gym, then sometimes you're going to have to do the same thing over and over and over again. It's going to be important for you to master the basics. Now, if all you want to do is have fun in the gym and you don't really care about progress, by all means, change things up all the time, switch to the latest and greatest program. But I don't know about you, but I can guarantee you that myself, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make progress. And I think a lot of you are too. So, stick with the program. Write it out for a while and see how it treats you. The final point that I'll make is do some conditioning work. Alright, now I'm not telling everybody they need to go run marathons. I'm not saying that people need to go jog or anything like that. I'm not even saying you need to do high intensity conditioning work. But you need to do some form, even if it's just walking, because strength training is fantastic. Cardiovascular health is going to be improved through strength training. However, if you're getting winded walking up a set of stairs, there's a problem, alright? So we need to make sure we're doing some kind of conditioning work so you're at least at a level where you can participate in the daily activities you do at an optimal level. So if you're just looking to, play with your kids a little, there's no need for you to start running marathons, but it's important for you to do a little walking, maybe push the prowler around a few times. Do some conditioning work. It's also going to help you recover quicker between your workouts. It's going to keep you healthy. It's also going to increase your energy levels, so make sure you're doing something. But that's it. We'll go over those 8 points real fast again. Use the big lifts, practice good form, train to get stronger, start too light, don't vary the exercises often. Instead, vary the sets, reps, weight, and rest time. Stick with the program, and then finally, do some conditioning work. I guarantee you, if you follow these 8 basic principles, you will make progress, and you will make progress for the long term.